Peacemaker made his way back into the multiverse. But this time, the secret government agencies are fully aware, and they make sure to uncover his secret. If you haven't seen the first recap, I have the video in the top right of the screen. In this universe, Peacemaker went into the multiverse and killed his other self by accident. And now 8 months before the incident, General Rick Flag Sr. was appointed into Amanda Waller's role as director of Argus. Economos, who is one of Peacemaker's friends, is introducing Argus into his new office. Rick Flag Sr. tells Economos he is different from Amanda Waller's, and a number of things don't really concern him, since he wasn't chosen by his choice. That's when Economos refers to him as an old pal, and this disgusts Rick Flag Sr., telling him to not suck up to him. When they get to Rick Flag's new office, he asks Economos to get him his son's full death report. That's when Economos tries to talk him out of it, and obviously it doesn't work. He doesn't care about Economos' advice or explanation, and now that the file is in front of him, he finally learns the truth, every single detail of what happened that day between Rick Flag Jr. and Peacemaker. Also finding out how Peacemaker is the one responsible for his son's death. He forms a deep hatred towards Peacemaker. Rick Flag storms out of his office and tells Bordeaux to make sure she puts some surveillance on Chris Smith 24/7. He doesn't care if he is the Peacemaker and wants it done immediately. Chris Smith is still in the multiverse, shocked by the death of himself, and he starts panicking. Trying to get rid of the body is almost impossible as it keeps rolling out of the container each time. He crashes out and makes sure he calls Adrian. Peacemaker is in the bathroom trying to remove the blood stained on him as fast as possible. Adebayo still has the key to her girlfriend's house, and so she goes to go and collect some of her stuff. She doesn't expect Kia to come home so early, and now Kia is upset about this. Kia says it doesn't matter if she just wanted to grab something. It's obviously rude to enter someone's home unannounced. After Kia tells Adebayo it's how things should be when people break up, Adebayo gets hurt because she thought they were just on a break, and she apologizes. Adebayo still tries to bond with Kia, asking her about her job, her life, and some other stuff. She tells Kia about how Chris's mental health hasn't been the best recently, but Kia isn't really interested in anything. She's still upset about the reason why they broke up, and she's not ready to let it go. Adebayo leaves the house, but she sneaks a love you before leaving completely. Meanwhile at the store, Harcourt is approached by a woman who thinks the bruises she got are from domestic abuse. She clearly tries to help, but Harcourt doesn't have the patience or kindness to explain, and this makes her yell at the woman. She brushes off the staring eyes around her and leaves the shop. Economos is still doing the same thing in his trailer, but he starts to panic when someone from outside starts to open it. The man's name is Fleury, and he shows his badge to him. He starts to joke with Economos and gives him a weird nickname called Ginger Cool, even though Economos doesn't like it. Meanwhile, in front of them, Chris goes to grab a newspaper and make some coffee when Adebayo starts knocking on his door. Eagley joins him, and Adebayo tells him everything. Chris explains the multiverse room door to her, and he tries explaining it's perfectly normal. Obviously, it's nowhere close to normal for Adebayo, and she tells him the Argus agency actively knows when he is using it. She also tells him the one behind it is Rick Flag Sr., and he also knows Peacemaker killed his son. Outside, Economos and Fleury are watching everything that's going on between Adebayo and Chris. Fleury cannot recognize what kind of bird Eagley is, and he blames it on a stupid sickness he calls bird blindness. Economos can't even believe this, even with how dumb it sounds. Adebayo tells Peacemaker to just hand over the multiverse device to Argus, so they won't use it as an excuse to send him back to prison. They get interrupted by Adrian, and only he and Peacemaker go inside the house. He takes him to the portal room, and it starts showing on Argus's tracker. Bordeaux secretly calls Fleury and tells him to keep information away from Economos. That's when Chris and Smith make their way to the other Peacemaker dead body. They get to work and begin to dismember his body. Afterwards, they carry the body to an incinerator and burn away every evidence that's left behind. Chase cleans the leftover blood, and Peacemaker takes the phone of his multiverse self. When they get back home, he goes through the phone and sees all the good moments he had with Harcourt. Now that it's nighttime, the Argus agents are prepping to infiltrate Chris's house since he's going to a party with his friends. At first, Fleury doesn't want them to infiltrate immediately and wants them to wait a little. They get down from the van, and Fleury gives them ridiculous nicknames to remember them. At first, their mission is pretty basic, but when one of them pulls out the scanner, they begin to find residue of non-terrestrial energy. They locate the door stuff and confirms it to be interdimensional, but just then, Eagly attacks them. He destroys the machine and avoids getting shot. The others try to stop it, but Eagly knocks one out and begins to attack the other. He attacks another one at the door and removes his eye. It quickly sees it's about to get cornered and rushes to the girl with a shotgun, before injuring her severely in her neck. Fleury is the last one left, and Eagly flies upward and does a dive bomb to knock him out. Eagly successfully pulls off a 1v5 and slow walks back into the home. While all this is happening, Harcourt, Economos, Adrian, Adebayo, and Chris get together for their party. It's been a while since they've seen each other, and they're having a good time. But Chris uses the opportunity to talk to Harcourt again. He uses a fishing line gag to try and get her attention. They seem to be more cool than in their previous encounter, and he tells her a little joke. That's when they have a private moment, and Peacemaker tries asking about her scar. He makes some references to their past, and he manages to get some laugh out of her. But truthfully, things are far from normal between them. Harcourt gets triggered when Peacemaker tells her he's worried about her. She says she knows that is what he would like, and remind him she's not as fucked up as him. She leaves him alone, and Peacemaker goes to sit by himself, and drinks more of the good stuff. When he gets home drunk, he doesn't notice his house is a mess, and thinks Eagly went on a rampage again. He tries to pet Eagly, but since he's being too rough, the bird flies away. That's when Peacemaker takes the phone of his other self, and tries messaging Harcourt. Obviously, it doesn't work since she's literally in a different dimension, but Peacemaker is broken right now. And he goes back to the multiverse door to wander again. This time he already knows his way, and he goes into the other reality. He overhears his dad and brother talking about the missing Peacemaker. The message he sent to Harcourt finally goes, but when she replies, she sends a broken heart emoji. And so this begins the start of something more fucked up.